Please listen carefully.
Hello, universe. Welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Summers McKay.
And I'm Kristy Jansen, and we are part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to help us all get focused on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office, in the office, or driving to the office or to the dentist-worthy podcast. Today is Thursday, the 14th of April, 2022. Hello, Kristy. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm well. I have sparkling teeth.
Yes.
I just had my teeth cleaned.
I alluded to that in my little rough intro. Brennan and I work hard every morning to make sure her teeth sparkle. She's gotten very into sparkling teeth, so I love that you said sparkling teeth. I was not aware of this, but you are supposed to actually have your 2-year-old start flossing, which seems early.
Well, it's mostly probably about creating solid habits. If you get used to doing that when you're 2, you're going to do it for the rest of your life.
Dental hygiene. Definitely a fan of that. A good Paw Patrol toothbrush makes it much more doable. So, is anything good in your life other than sparkly, clean, shiny teeth?
Well, just everything. I feel like there is a little bit of an opening up in the world, which is nice. Although I did see that Philadelphia put a mask mandate on again.
Yeah.
But here in California, there's a little bit of relaxing. In my immediate friendship group, the fear level has gone down and we're trying to figure out how to live with it. Mm-hmm. And that makes me feel more hopeful about reconnecting with people that I really care about in an easy way without the separations, the isolations and strategies. It's been a rough time in my immediate community.
Well, we were talking about solutions that have come out of COVID. And there are so many solutions now that people can employ to keep safer, right? Whether it's frequent testing, sort of proactive testing, and, being able to coexist and work together as a unit and as a community without this perpetual isolation, which I think we're all kind of ready to be done with.
And for me, it kind of speaks to why I'm so excited about talking about the headline that I chose today, because having these artificial boundaries, because I have some people in my life who have chosen not to be vaccinated for one reason or another, or they have small children who can't be vaccinated. And some of my friends are like, oh, if you see them, then you can't see us, right? So I am in the middle because I have very close relationships over here, and then I have close relationships over here. And so then I'm like, okay, I don't know. I end up getting paralyzed. I can't move at all because there's different borders and boundaries that are somewhat arbitrary because some people are really strict on them and other people are less. Anyway, right now, as a group of friends, we're like, okay, let's just take a pause and let's try to get back to something more like what we used to experience with some prophylactic testing and things like that. Anyway, the headline that I wanted to talk about is also about borders in a different way, but actually the physical borders. And I don't know if we're ready to go there, but you tell me.
I think we're ready to go.
Okay.
I think I'm feeling it. I like your transition.
My headline reads, Sister Cities Along Mexico-U.S. Border to Construct a Binational Eco Park. Towns on either side of the U.S.-Mexico border are often perceived as places of tension, historical tension and conflict. But the border town of Laredo, Texas, and Nuevo Laredo in the state of Tamaulipas, Mexico, also affectionately called Sister Cities, have been working on a joint ecological restoration project, which will not only showcase the Rio Grande and surrounding nature, but will also highlight the town's friendly relationship. This park is sort of working towards bringing more focus again on the binds that braid these two cities together as opposed to the separation. If they had built this wall, because this is actually in an area that would have been a location for the border wall, which we've heard a lot about. First of all, it would have cut off the city of Laredo from its main water source, which is the Rio Grande. And it would have been divisive culturally and also damaging ecologically. There's a grassroots effort made up of veterans, clergy, teachers, students, indigenous leaders, landowners. There's a coalition called No Border Wall. All came together in the city of Laredo, and they were like, hey, we can't put a wall here. The cancellation of the unconstructed border wall saved about 71 miles of sensitive riverfront land. And it also saved over $1 billion of taxpayer money, according to the nonprofit environmental group Earth Justice. In place of that, the city of Laredo proposed and then has unanimously approved the development of a binational river park, an ecological restoration project, which is expected to take up around 6.3 miles along the Rio Grande River. And it will be a space for community, recreation, education, and a physical representation of how interconnected these two cities really are. And I know people who came from Laredo and Nuevo Laredo. I have a friend who grew up in Laredo. I think she had a grandma who lived in the Mexican side. She went to school in the Texas side, but she would go back and forth on a daily basis. After school, she'd go hang out with her grandmother, and then she'd go home at night to sleep in Texas. Anyway, that's my story that I wanted to talk about.
I love the idea that ecological restoration is not something that is hindered by borders, right? That the care of this earth is something that is of global concern, that is of relationships, families who do live on both sides of the border all live in this world that needs to be cared for and repaired. And what I think this story offers beautifully is a reminder that while certain things may seem like the most focal concern, there's actually far more meaningful solutions that we can be focusing on instead of just whatever is sort of headline inflammatory. So this is a beautiful story, and I would love to go visit. I don't live far from Laredo, so maybe I'll go down and see this ecological sister city project at some point, a little road trip. My story is totally different. There's no effective transition between your story and mine because yours is about like good things in the world and people working together to, I don't know, make this earth better. And mine is about booze. Actually, mine is about med tech and technological development, but it is manifesting in alcohol. My headline reads, "This e-nose can detect fraudulent whiskey."
What is a fraudulent whiskey? What does that actually mean? Like,
what is fraudulent whiskey, right? It turns out, and I discovered this actually when I did international studies. I did an international business school trip to Vietnam and Thailand, and really learned a lot about global supply chain corruption and a lot of the basically counterfeit industries that existed that were coming out of that region and largely out of China. And one of the things that I did learn about was that counterfeit alcohol is actually a very big problem. Unless you're a whiskey enthusiast, it's probably hard to tell which is which, purely on smell. And most people rely on the label to tell the good from the bad or the ugly, right? Well, it turns out that one of the most counterfeited products is actually Johnny Walker. And that is because it is actually a huge brand in Asia. The whole Johnny Walker whiskey brand is a very coveted and elevated brand there. Whiskey is one of the most popular worldwide alcoholic beverages, and some labels actually charge up to thousands for a given bottle. Therefore, whether it's $1,000 bottle or a $50 bottle, there is a big market for fraudulent copies.
So is it a business problem or is there an actual like physical problem, or is it dangerous?
Yeah, it's dangerous, right? So not only is it a business challenge, but it's actually a huge health challenge because fraudulent whiskey is incredibly dangerous to the consumer, with reports of blindness and even death after ingesting counterfeit alcohol. Counterfeit alcohol is really bad for your body, and it's also bad for these brands. Now, scientists from the University of Technology, Sydney, of course, this came from Sydney, designed an electronic nose named NOS.E, NOS.E, that in less than 4 minutes can detect between different regions of origin with 100% accuracy, brand names with 96.15% accuracy, and 92.31% accuracy for style. Style would be like the kind of whiskey you're having. The experiment used samples from 3 blended malts and 3 single origins, including labels like Johnny Walker, Macallan's, and Chivas Regal. Up until now, detecting the differences between whiskeys has required either a trained whiskey connoisseur who might still get it wrong or complex and time-consuming chemical analysis by scientists in a lab, is quoted Professor Stephen Sue, who led the project. You have to wonder if they compared their noses to the E-nose. Having a rapid, easy-to-use, real-time assessment of whiskey to identify the quality and uncover any adulteration or fraud could be very beneficial for both the wholesalers and the purchasers. And honestly, most of counterfeit law is about protecting consumers because consumers should not be defrauded. And in this instance, their lives can be at risk for it.
And if you're paying thousands of dollars for a bottle of fake whiskey, that seems a little bit
be a big bummer. I bet this probably works for probably all sorts of alcohol that it can be trained, right? So nose mimics the human olfactory system and uses our sense of smell. They use multiple gas sensors, and the e-nose can detect particular chemicals that allow for the identification of odor. This reminds me of the new photo identification strategies that are coming out from MedTech, where it's basically looking at different inputs in order to use technology, use AI to ascertain the authenticity, health, or risk of anything.
And I'd imagine that this type of technology, this NOS.E, could be recalibrated to detect all different types of sensory types of.
Right. Well, exactly.
You know, they have dogs now that can smell Parkinson's. We were talking about ants smelling for different kinds of cancer.
Exactly. What this really offers is that this expanding medtech, which is the sort of olfactory identification e-noses that are useful in medicine, identifying everything from Parkinson's, brain cancer, MRSA. And then the food industry has also recruited this technology to ensure freshness and safety standards of products, as well as to identify whether or not there are pesticides on products. Catching animal welfare criminals has also been made easier by e-noses by being able to detect illegal sale of black rhino horns. So e-noses are useful for more than just booze, but I do love the application of this. And I get really excited whenever technology can show up and elevate sort of intelligence across all sorts of industries, because I think that it just keeps us thinking in what's ahead. And this is a very fun, possibly Thursday cocktail with your friends headline. Definitely talk about this when you're going out for Thursday afternoon.
Pull out your e-nose, your pocket nose-e, and make sure you're getting the genuine stuff when you order your drink.
your genuine Johnny Walker. Exactly. All right, so we've got some other great stories today on the Optimist Daily. As always, there is a startup proving that electric cargo ships actually make sense. I bet that one will do well. Ooh, and today, guys, it's really exciting. We have a bonus episode. It's a reshare from one of our favorite interviews. And the headline, Viv for Your V, championing sustainable periods for menstruators everywhere. What else do we have, Kristy?
Well, Greece has erected Europe's largest double-sided solar farm. This is actually really interesting. Look at the images of that. If you're waking up stressed, you might be overestimating how much you can do in a day. Guilty. I do that.
I know. Guilty as charged.
But maybe I should take a different approach. I'm going to go read that article. Also, for the first time, scientists have recorded squids' camouflaging abilities. Everybody, thanks so much for listening to the Optimist Daily Update. We promise to continue to share positive solution-based stories with ideas on how you can get active and participate in the changing world, help ensure it is changed for the good, and we promise to keep covering current events and real things that are happening around the world with accurate, legitimate sources and offering you the kinds of information we all need to chart new paths for all of us.
Hey, everybody, if you haven't already, please consider becoming an emissary on theoptimistdaily.com. And for just $5 a month, support reader-funded independent journalism. We love our jobs, we love what we do, and we love that we do it for you. We are deeply grateful to everyone who supports The Optimist Daily, whether it is financially or simply by sharing us on social media and giving us super positive reviews on wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks, everybody. Have a fantastic day, and we'll be back tomorrow with more solutions.